This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. I know it's April, it's the 4th month of the year. Why haven't I done a top 10 most anticipated games yet? Well, in the last few years I've done these, but usually I do them at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year, and quite frankly, I don't feel like I knew enough about what was coming out before making them. Now granted, last year, one of my picks on there actually ended up becoming my best game of the year, Covert from Renegade Game Studios, Kane Klenko. So sometimes you can take a shot of something you think you might like and it pays off. But for the most part, I wanted to wait to learn more. And as you've been seeing over the last few weeks, I've been coming out with videos from the GAMA Trade show, and I went and I highlighted 50 of the games that really struck me, and it's really the kickoff of the season. So I waited this year to learn more about what's really coming out so I can have a better list for you. Now I will say, so we're gonna go on the top 10, and I will say 5 of the 10 I either did not know about before GAMA or had heard about it but learned enough more about it at GAMA that it's on this list. So that's a good reason why I waited, and it paid off. So here we go with the top 10 most anticipated games of 2017 coming out in the rest of this year.
Number 10.
All right, number 10 is Codenames Duet. This is from CGE, Chex Game Edition, and it's a specific 2-player version of Codenames. Now, Codenames itself, everyone knows, well, most people know about it. It was a great word party game. It won Spiel des Jahres. It's still a game that I've brought into many different situations and love it. And I just love that engine. I love the creativity. I love how easy it is, but yet how much depth there is. And there is a 2-player variant you can play with the regular base game, right? So you can play the cooperative game, and there is some strategy to that where you're checking out, hey, which one of these should I cover up? Because, hey, if I cover this up, I can give a clue that I couldn't really give if that wasn't covered up. So the 2-player game actually works fine. But this next one really takes it to another level because it is designed for 2 players. And the cool thing here is that there's a card where you're looking at which clues to give. And on the other side of that, your partner also has clues, and you're both going to be giving clues to each other. You still have a certain amount of time you're trying to use. You're still, but the cool thing is on that grid, same 5x5, 25 different words, on that grid, you have 9 words there that you're trying to get your partner to get, but 3 of them are shared. So you actually have 3 clues that you're both trying to give, and there's different assassins on both sides. So anyway, I got a chance to play this game, and it was fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to this because, again, you might say, oh, it's just a 2-player game of Codenames. It felt very different because you're both giving clues. Some of them are the same. Man, it was awesome, and that's why it's number 10. I can't wait for the real one to come out.
Number 9.
All right, number 9 is a game I had not even heard about before I went to GAMA. And this is from Cosmos. Now, way back in the day, a game came out, a very popular game that's out of print from, it was called Pillars of the Earth. It was a worker placement game. And we've been told that that is going to be now reprinted, which is awesome. But that's not what I'm talking about. Stay tuned. They are coming out with, on September 8th, a sequel to that called A Column of Fire. And it comes out the same day that the sequel of the book from Pillars of the Earth comes out with the same title, A Column of Fire. So it's done by the same designer that did Pillars of the Earth. We don't know a lot about this information. They had a mock-up box there, just a front. I talked to the publisher, and all they could tell me is that it's going to be similar as worker placement, but there's going to be a lot of other things too. There's going to be some intrigue, some things you don't know about. There's going to be some added mechanisms that's going to be different, but yet it's going to be somewhat similar. And I'm really interested in this. I love worker placement games. I like things that are based on books. It's really cool. I love to read. And I just think this is cool. It's done by the same designer that designed Pillars of the Earth. A sequel, releasing the same day as a book. That's exciting for me.
Number 8.
Number 8 is one from Arcane Wonders called Spoils of War. Now, this is based on Liar's Dice. I've reviewed Liar's Dice, the old version, the newer version, recently the 30th anniversary. I love Liar's Dice. It's one of those party games that you can just bring anywhere, and it literally is a ton of fun. It's so simple to teach, it's so fun, chucking the dice, basically lying about what's under your thing by artificially raising the bid to screw somebody else up. It is a lot of fun, and this game takes that engine. Basically, it's Liar's Dice on steroids, where you're rolling dice and you're bidding, but you're not just bidding to possibly lose dice or not, you're bidding to try to get equipment that give you special abilities, you're trying to do set collection for points. It's like taking Liar's Dice and making it a gamer's version. And any time that Berkey from Board Game Theater is dressing up as a character in a game, it's always going to be a good game, right? So he's been going around as some of the Spoils of War guy, dressed up at all the conventions and stuff. That's always fun. But Spoils of War, I'm really looking forward to because I love Liar's Dice, and this gives it some real gamer meat.
Number 7.
My number 7 is from IDW, and this is one of the 3 games that have been announced for the Atari series. They're bringing out games from the Atari 2600, and they're all led, developed, and designed by Jonathan Gilmour, who did Dead of Winter. They're bringing in different teams to do some of the games. This specific one, the only one that's coming out this year, is called Centipede, and this is coming from 2017. The other 2 are Missile Command and Asteroids. I'm really looking forward to those. Those are next year. Centipede is actually one I'm probably most excited about. Anyways, I love playing Centipede all the time. It's 2 to 4 players. These games are all going to be somewhat light, 30 to, about around 30 minutes. And in this game, we don't know a whole lot about it, but what they've told me is that all these games are going to have unique components. So when you open up the box, you're going to go, oh, cool, I haven't seen one of those before. I've never seen this before. So they're trying to do interesting things with the components. I love the theme, obviously. I love Atari. I grew up playing that stuff. And they said that it's going to be asymmetrical. One player will play the centipede and the rest will be shooting them. There's also a variant where you'll all be the shooters and you'll be trying to shoot the centipede into each other to destroy them. So, a cool idea, I think, taking that IP and assuming they're putting, again, Jonathan Gilmour's behind it, so it's probably going to be a good game too. They can get a really good light game that draws that video game crowd into here, but there's some cool mechanics there that the gamers that really like board games like it. This could really help the board game industry, and I just love the theme, and I'm really interested in this.
Number 6.
Number 6 is a game that's coming out later that was recently on Kickstarter from Restoration Games called Stop Thief. This company, Restoration Games, is doing some great stuff. They're going back to the old games back when I was a kid, and they're trying to restore them and streamlining the mechanisms and bringing it here. Stop Thief is a game where there's a thief running around and everyone's trying to figure out with their deductive skills as to where they are, trying to capture them to get money. Now, back in the day, it was like an old electronic phone. It would be making old noises and you'd be following them around. They've changed everything, of course. They've updated the artwork. They've updated the mechanisms where it's more of a hand management. It's more in the modern standards of gaming. They've also updated all those sounds to an app, so it's going to run a lot smoother. It's going to be modern, but you could also, from what I hear and what I read, you could also use the old original sounds in that app as well if you want that. And this old nostalgia thing, I'm so excited about this idea that people are going to be going back and bringing old games as a kid back, and they're going to be redoing them, dusting them off, redoing the mechanisms. And I hope this trend actually picks up and takes off from even more companies doing this, because I think this is awesome. A lot of the nostalgia of playing old board games as a kid and being able to play them again, but in the modern games, oh my gosh, it's such a good idea. Plus, I love deduction, so this one's on that list, Stop Thief.
Number 5.
My number 5, well, you can't have a list of top 10s, well, I can't, without Bruno Cathala on it, right? Co-designing a game called Yamatai. Now, I've already done a sneak peek mini review of this game. I'll try to remember to put the links of that here in this video. And this essentially is Bruno Cathala's next big box game, sort of the standard Ticket to Ride size box with Days of Wonder. The artwork is amazing. The mechanisms, there's a decent amount going on here. I'd say it's as heavy as Five Tribes if you've ever played that, if not maybe a tiny bit heavier, where you're going through and there's these boats and there's a lot to do in this game, and you could play some boats, and sometimes you're going to be getting resources. Sometimes you're trying to chain together different things around different islands. There's different action selections, and when you select the action, the more powerful actions, you'll go last. You take the least powerful action, you get to go first. And then there's also different ability tiles that, as you're able to recruit them, they give you abilities that you can use sometimes once, sometimes throughout the game. But there's a lot going on here. I'd call this a medium weight Euro. It has some interesting bidding, action selection, some spatial elements, placing the right ships, a lot going on, and he's just my favorite designer. So anytime he puts something together, I'm going to be interested in it anyways, and this one's heavier, and I've already sort of played it. So for that reason, that is on the list, Yamatai from Days of Wonder.
Number 4.
Number 4 is from AEG. It's called Custom Heroes. This is a climbing game, or some people call it a ladder climbing game. It's a card game, essentially, where you're playing some cards. The first player might play 2 2s, and everyone else has to throw either 2 2s or 2 higher, 2 4s, 2 6s, whatever. And you're trying to go around and trying to get rid of all your cards as fast as you can. But the trick is that it's a card crafting game which uses the same engine that Mystic Vale did last year. It has these clear, transparent upgrades that each card can get in, you sliding them in. Each card can have up to 4 upgrades. Sometimes they give it a special ability, sometimes they add different amounts to it, sometimes they subtract different amounts, and it's allowing you to manipulate cards to come up with the right numbers that you need at the right time. And then after the round, after everyone's run out of cards, you score. The fastest one gets the most points, but the less upgrades they get. The one who comes in last gets no points, but they get a lot of upgrades to help them up in different rounds. The coolest thing is once you've upgraded those characters and they all been shuffled in, they can all get dealt out to everybody again. So you might have upgraded somebody to do something cool, and it might end up in somebody's hand next round and they do something even cooler to upgrade it even further. Really cool idea. I loved this. I played it at GAMA. And I'm just really looking forward to this because it was so much fun. I love just card games. It is about a 45 to 60 minute card game, but it's pretty light. If you like ladder or climbing games, this is definitely one to check out, and that is Custom Heroes.
Number 3.
My number 3 is a game style that I don't typically like. This is a game from Cool Mini or Not by Eric Lang with lots of miniatures. Typically not something that's in my wheelhouse, but I love the theme. This is called The Godfather, the Corleone Empire. This is, again, it's a worker placement game. It's mean. I love the theme. The minis look cool. Worker placement, it's also got some area control elements, special abilities. You're throwing people in the water, eating, swimming with the fishes. This was one that I have been interested in just in the theme. I went and looked at some of the pieces that were at GAMA, and man, they look amazing. And from some of the videos that I've watched of Eric talking about this, other people interviewing him showing this off, I love worker placement, I love area control, I love being in games, I love being mean and messing with my buddies. And this looks like it has a lot of opportunity with a little bit of an economic element, which I also love. So 3 major mechanisms that I love, with a theme that I love, with a designer who's hot as all heck, probably the hottest designer out there right now, with a company that knows how to produce like the best games out there. And that's why I mentioned this one. That's The Godfather from Eric Lang, Corleone's Empire.
Number 2.
My number 2 is a game I did not know about until I got to GAMA. And I love social deduction games. And this game, I gotta say, really blew my mind because it does something different. It's called Red Scare, where some of the people are gonna be communists and some are going to be on the other side. You're trying to have this tug of war, almost like if you play Twilight Struggle or some of those card-driven games where the scoring is right in the middle, and as you do things, it might get pulled one way to your way. If you pull it back, it's in the middle, and they pull it this way. And whatever side that's on at the end is the winner. But the real twist here, right, is they have these glasses. They're like the old school white paper 3D glasses that you used to go to movies in, but they're both red. If you ever played one of those games, those old party games like Outburst or whatever, where you have a card that you can't read, you can tell there's something on there, and you put them in like a red sleeve and you can read it, that's the thing. Some of the people are gonna have glasses on, and they're gonna be able to read some things that are on cards that are around that people are talking about, possibly lying about, but the people with the glasses can really see. There's also special roles where you could rip the glasses off somebody's head, put them on their head to go, what, you said that about that card? Oh, he's clearly lying. This person's definitely a communist. And wow, adding that element to it just seems so cool. And I love social deduction games with a passion. And when something comes out like this that has a unique twist, the artwork looks awesome. The ideas and some of the roles they were telling me about just seemed phenomenal. I can't remember all of them, but I was so excited that there's special roles, different things, ways to trick each other, and that extra element of being able to see thing or not as the game changes. Oof, man, this thing looks awesome. I can't wait to see it. It's also very quick. You know, like most social deduction games, I think it's like 10 to 15 minutes like normal. Anyway, I'm really excited about this one. That's Red Scare.
Number 1.
All right, number 1. Most of these anticipated lists, it's funny. I don't know if you've ever tried to put together an anticipated list before. The funny thing is that anytime I've tried to do it, if there's a game that I know a lot about, or a game that I've even played before, sometimes they go way lower on the list, and a lot of times they're even off the list. Because it's like, I already know about that. It's weird how this cult of the new thing happens, and as a reviewer, I'm always trying to push forward to see what the new stuff is. So usually if there's a game that I've played or know about, the more I know about it, the lower it goes on the anticipated list. Why is that? I think because we just have this hopes that a game that sounds cool that we don't know that much about will end up turning into like our favorite game of all time. But the more we play things like YAMA Trade, for example, I've already played it. Custom Heroes that I've already talked about on this list, I've already played it, but those are strong enough that they're still on this list, but many times they just drop down. YAMA Trade, if I had never played it, probably would have been number 1. But Bruno Gathala game, top. But dropping that to number 5, does that mean it's not a good game? No, it just means I know more about it, and I'm still excited about it. But it's not like I think it's going to replace 5 Tribes for me and be my next favorite game of all time, because I already know it's not going to be, but I know it's going to be a very good game. So it's really weird. In this case, my number 1 is a game that I've played before. So with all that being said, why am I putting a game that I've already played number 1 on my anticipated list when I just went by saying that usually those drop them or take them off the list? It's because I think this is a special game, and I think this is going to help the hobby. This is Crosstalk. It's a game that was on Kickstarter. It might even still be on Kickstarter. I don't know. Full disclosure, I did do a paid preview for this game, but that does not change my opinion of the game. I love it. So full disclosure there. This game I am calling the next Codenames because it's a party game that I think will reach out to mass market, could easily be sold on shelves of Target, and people that have never played games before will play it and really be wowed by it. But at the same time, it has enough layers of depth, enough gamery to it, that gamers are going to be like, whoa, this is cool. I had the same feeling of when the first time I played Codenames. I was at Dice Tower Con, the prototype, it wasn't out yet, it was coming out 6 months later, and I played it, and the instant I played that game, I went, holy moly, this game is special. I felt the same about this game, and that doesn't happen very often, especially in a party game. I mean, I think Codenames was the first ever game that I went, oh my gosh, this is special. This is the second ever party game I ever went, oh my gosh, this is special. It's just so amazing how you're giving these clues, but the other player gets to guess first, and you get to give private clues at the beginning of the round to push them down a spot, and then you get to write private things. You could give clues and ideas about things to people for a clue you haven't even given yet. Like, you know what? I'm going to totally throw my other team off. I think they're going there. Ignore my next answer. And it's like, oh man, there's just some really cool things. That layer of depth the gamers are going to love. So this is a game that's easy, somewhat similar to Codenames, but still very different, and familiar to people that have played Codenames or even Password, that everyone can get into it. But man, is it good. Oh, I can't wait to keep playing this game. Now, why is it number 1? Because I think this is going to do so much for the hobby, as much as Codenames did, which was bring Codenames into so many hundreds of thousands of homes of people that don't usually play board game, and they go, who's this Vlada guy? And they look up and they start learning about these board games. They're going to look at this and go, what else has Navu Games done? Stockpile? Let's try that. They're going to be like, wow, this game's cool. What else do these guys do? Right? And then they're going to start bringing in. So I think this game's going to do the hobby such a great service because it's going to bring new people in, and it's going to allow us yet another tool that we love that we can still get excited about playing with new people. So that's my number 1, Crosstalk. All right, I hope you enjoyed that top 10 most anticipated list, and I hope you understand why I waited so long to do this, but I really feel like it's a better list than any of the other ones I put in the past as a whole. Again, last year, one of them was my Game of the Year Covert, but I think as a whole, it's going to be a stronger list because I know more about what's coming out. And I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.